A 2-year-old can lose enough body heat to die in under 20 minutes at minus 20 degrees. 20 minutes. That's less time than most people spend scrolling their phone before bed. So why do thousands of homeless mothers deliberately keep their children in flimsy tents during the deadliest blizzards instead of going to heated shelters? Because most people hear homeless mother in a tent, and their first thought is, why doesn't she just go to a shelter? Fair question. Ugly answer. Many family shelters have wait lists weeks or months long. It is not shelter or tent. It is no bed available tonight, tomorrow either, maybe next week, maybe not. And even when beds exist, many shelters will not accept boys over a certain age, sometimes as young as 8, sometimes 12 or 14. It depends on the shelter, but the result is the same. Split up your family or stay together outside. Almost every mother chooses to stay together. Domestic violence drives more mothers into tents than most people realize. A woman fleeing an abusive partner with her kids at 11 at night in January is not making a lifestyle choice. She is running. And underneath all of it, there is a fear that keeps many mothers away from official systems entirely. Asking for help through the wrong channels risks losing custody. Sleeping in a tent with your child feels safer than the possibility of your child being taken away. That math might not make sense from the outside. From inside it, it is the only math that matters. So these mothers did not choose this. They are solving a problem that nobody else solved for them. And what they know about keeping their kids alive might completely contradict everything you have been taught about survival. Cold doesn't kill children first. Moisture does. That sounds backwards, right? You'd think the baby shivering in a tent during a blizzard is dying from freezing temperatures. Nope. That baby's dying because something is wet. Their clothes, their blanket, something. Damp fabric destroys insulation. We're talking double the heat loss, sometimes triple. And with kids, it gets cruel fast. Children can't regulate their own temperature the way adults can. A toddler in a snowsuit will overheat and sweat within minutes of activity. They can't tell you their back is damp. They can't unzip their own layers. So that sweat sits there, silently pulling heat out of a body that's already too small to keep itself warm. Kids generate moisture in ways adults don't even think about. Crying, night terrors, wet diapers against skin. A child having a nightmare at 2 a.m. is sweating through their clothes, and now those clothes are working against them for the rest of the night. So what do experienced mothers do? Something that looks completely insane to anyone watching. They start cold. When they're setting up camp, they get the children settled and still first, wrapped loosely, not bundled tight. Then the mother sets up slowly, deliberately, no rushing, no working up a sweat. It looks lazy. It's actually the smartest thing she'll do all day. Snow on your kid's jacket? Brush it off. It hasn't melted yet. No damage done. But rain or sweat, that's already inside the fabric. Game over. You can't brush that away. Cotton is a death sentence. Once wet, cotton takes over 24 hours to dry in freezing conditions. That's 24 hours a child doesn't have. Mothers who've survived multiple winters know this. They will reject a donated cotton sweater in the middle of a blizzard. Staying dry matters more than staying warm. Remember that. Everything else builds on it. So once a mother commits to staying dry, the next question is how she sleeps. And this is where the real knowledge kicks in. Most people think one expensive sleeping bag beats everything. Wrong. Experienced tent mothers figured out something outdoor companies do not advertise. Putting a cheap summer sleeping bag inside a winter-rated bag creates more warmth than a single bag rated for the same temperature. 2 bags mean 2 layers of trapped air, and trapped air is what actually keeps you warm. Double bagging increases warmth, but with kids, a sleeping bag creates a different problem. A child alone in a bag does not have enough body mass to heat the air pocket inside. A 40-pound kid in a bag designed for a grown man is basically lying inside a cold nylon tube. So mothers sleep in a sea curl around their child. It looks instinctive, like something any mother would do with a newborn, but it is also thermally brilliant. The mother's body heat warms the shared airspace. The child stays in the warmest zone, and the mother's body blocks the coldest edge of the bag. Sea curl keeps the child in the warm zone. That coldest edge is always the zipper side. Metal conducts cold. The stitching creates tiny gaps. Smart mothers position that zipper away from the tent wall, where cold radiates strongest. Seems like a tiny detail. In a blizzard, tiny details are the whole game. Zipper placement matters, something nobody mentions about sleeping bags. They degrade. Heavy nightly use crushes the insulation over time, and crushed insulation cannot trap air. That donated winter bag from 3 years ago is not performing anywhere near its original rating. It is losing warmth every season. Mothers who know this double bag, specifically because they cannot trust a single bag to deliver what the label promises, degrade and age, reduce effectiveness. Boots come off and go inside the sleeping bag, every time. Small shoes freeze solid even faster than adult boots, and jamming a toddler's foot into a frozen shoe at 4 a.m. while they are screaming is a problem you only experience once before you learn. Boots. Inside the bag is a rule. If there is another adult present, connecting 2 bags together raises interior temperature significantly through shared body heat. What feels cramped is actually an engineering decision. Sharing space increases heat retention. Your enemy isn't above you, it's directly below. Cold ground steals body heat dozens of times faster than cold air. That frozen earth underneath your tent is a heat vampire. You could own the warmest sleeping bag in existence, but put a child directly on frozen ground and their core temperature drops to dangerous levels within an hour. For an adult, it is roughly 90 minutes. For a kid, it is faster. Smaller bodies cool quicker. The math is merciless. So what do experienced mothers do? Cardboard. That flattened box behind the grocery store becomes a genuine survival tool. Those corrugated layers contain thousands of tiny air chambers, and each one slows heat transfer. But street veterans don't just throw down whatever they find. They stack materials in a specific order. Plastic sheet on the bottom to block ground moisture. Cardboard next. Foam pad on top. Then blankets. It is a heat retention sandwich. Remove one layer and the whole system falls apart. Yoga mats, pulled from gym dumpsters, have become prized street commodities. Closed-cell foam blocks moisture and cold simultaneously. One mat weighs almost nothing but adds hours of survival time. Gym members toss these out when they get slightly worn. Mothers will walk miles to grab one. And this is where kids create a unique problem. Children roll in their sleep. They shift. They squirm off the insulated area and end up half on frozen ground at 3 a.m. without making a sound. Experienced mothers build walls with rolled blankets or stuffed bags along the edges of the sleeping zone. It is basically a crib made from whatever is available. It keeps the child on the insulated surface all night. Some long-term mothers dig shallow body-shaped depressions before setting up camp. Sounds excessive until you realize those earth walls block wind while adding insulation depth. Same principle Arctic animals use when they burrow into snow. Every inch of insulation between your child's body and frozen ground can mean the difference between waking up cold and not waking up at all. Where you pitch your tent matters more than what tent you own. Get this wrong with kids, and none of the gear matters. South-facing walls are prime real estate, not for wind protection, but for the sun. Even in brutal cold, a tent set against a south-facing brick wall gets passive solar heating. It can be 20 degrees warmer inside during peak daylight. Free heat, no batteries, no risk. Cities are basically giant radiators. Building exhaust vents, subway grates, and steam pipes from underground infrastructure create pockets of warmth scattered across a metropolitan area. Some spots run several degrees warmer than the street 50 feet away. Mothers who have survived multiple winters have these locations memorized, and they guard that information carefully. Something that trips up newcomers constantly is that low-lying areas seem protected from wind. They are, but cold air is heavier than warm air, and it sinks. That cozy-looking ditch or depression fills with the coldest air available. It can be 15 degrees colder than a spot 20 feet uphill. With kids, location gets even more specific. Mothers avoid spots near traffic. A toddler who wanders 10 feet in the wrong direction near a road does not get a second chance. Parking garages, which single adults consider luxury spots, become complicated with children. Concrete holds wind and traps vehicle heat, but carbon monoxide from running engines hits small lungs harder and faster than adult lungs. What mothers actually look for is proximity to 24-hour businesses, gas stations, laundromats, and other places that will tolerate a mother bringing a shivering child inside for 5 minutes to warm up, even if they will not let a single adult linger. It is an uncomfortable truth, but a woman with a child gets access to warming stops that other people do not. The worst possible location with kids is near water, rivers, ponds, or large puddles. Humidity increases heat loss dramatically. Add ice forming around a tent and the risk of flooding during thaws, and you have built camp in a death trap. With children who might wander toward that water, it is doubly dangerous. Smart mothers do not pick one spot. They scout backup locations before winter arrives. That perfect, wind-protected corner might become a wind tunnel when the storm shifts direction. With kids, you cannot figure this out mid-blizzard. A camping tent is a windbreaker with ambitions. But for mothers, the challenge isn't just making it warmer. It's making it safe enough that a restless toddler does not accidentally compromise the whole setup overnight. The first priority is shrinking the heated space. Most tents are designed for adults who want room to sit up, move around, organize gear. That extra volume is a liability in a blizzard. Experienced mothers hang a dividing blanket inside the tent to partition off a smaller sleeping zone, just big enough for bodies. Instead of heating an entire tent, you are heating a space the size of a closet. Physics does the rest. Less air to warm means warmer air. Mylar, emergency blankets go on the ceiling of that smaller space, shiny side down. $2 at any camping store. They reflect up to 90% of your body heat back toward you. In a partitioned space with a mother and child, the effect is dramatic. Double walling the outside helps too. A salvaged tarp hung 2 inches outside the tent creates an air gap that adds roughly 10 degrees of interior warmth. Same principle as double pane windows. Snow banked against the tent walls up to 18 inches high turns your setup into a partial igloo. Snow blocks wind and traps air. Free insulation. But the real mother-specific modifications are about controlling access points. Kids open tent flaps carelessly. A toddler who unzips the door at 3 a.m. lets in a blast of freezing air that wipes out hours of accumulated warmth. Some mothers rig pull cord closures or knot systems that small hands cannot operate. Others create fabric vestibules at the entrance, an airlock system where you open the outer flap, step in, close it behind you, then open the inner flap. The main tent never gets hit with outside air. Now, the critical mistake. Sealing too tight. Seams should be sealed with duct tape to block drafts, but the tent still needs air flow. Without it, breath moisture accumulates all night. By morning, everything inside is soaked. Wet gear in freezing temperatures is dangerous. A small gap somewhere, even if cold air sneaks in, keeps the air circulating enough to prevent condensation from destroying your insulation. Balance matters. Kids breathing in an airtight space all night creates both moisture problems and air quality problems. Nobody survives a blizzard alone. That's not a poster on a guidance counselor's wall. It's math. One mother in one tent has one set of supplies, one body generating heat, and zero backup if something goes wrong. Cluster 5 tents together with 3 mothers and several kids, and suddenly you've got shared wind barriers, pooled resources, and someone to notice when a child goes quiet. Homeless mothers form tighter networks than almost any other group on the streets. And it makes sense. A single mother can't leave her kids alone in a tent to do a supply run. She can't check conditions outside without unzipping everything and losing heat. But 2 mothers? One watches 4 kids while the other scouts. They rotate, they share, they survive. These communities position tents in rough circles or lines that block wind for each other. The tent on the windward side takes the beating, but they rotate that position throughout winter. Fair is fair, even when fair means freezing. Phones have completely transformed survival odds. A $40 prepaid phone with texting costs less than 2 nights in a motel. And that phone saves lives. Polar vortex dropping temperatures 30 degrees overnight. A group text hits every phone before the news reports it. A warming center opens 3 miles away. The network knows within the hour. The mentorship between mothers can't be replicated by any manual or pamphlet. A woman who survived 8 winters shows a newcomer exactly how to layer ground insulation. She explains the signs of hypothermia in a toddler in ways no medical textbook could. She knows which shelters accept families without separating mothers from older sons. She knows which churches provide children's supplies without conditions attached. This knowledge transfers through demonstration, and it saves lives. Some communities designate night watchers during storms. They make rounds every few hours, checking for collapsed tents, unresponsive adults, and kids who have rolled off their insulation. Volunteer work that pays nothing except the knowledge that someone's watching over your children too. Diapers become currency. Formula gets traded like gold. One mother's extra sleeping bag becomes another family's survival tool. Debts get tracked mentally and repaid when circumstances shift. An entire economy built on trust between people who have nothing except each other. Everything we have talked about so far can keep a child alive. This next part can kill one. Heat sources inside a tent with kids require a completely different approach. You have probably heard the trick with tea candles under an upside-down terracotta pot. Clay absorbs heat and releases it slowly. It can raise a small tent's temperature by 10 degrees. But a toddler who rolls into an open flame at 2 in the morning does not give you time to react. A child who knocks over a terracotta pot full of burning candles inside a nylon tent. I do not need to finish that sentence. Carbon monoxide kills dozens of homeless Americans every single winter. You cannot see it. You cannot smell it. You fall asleep and do not wake up. With children, it is worse. Smaller lungs, faster breathing rate. A carbon monoxide concentration that makes an adult dizzy can put a child into a coma. Ventilation matters more than warmth. Always. Even with kids crying about a cold draft. Your child being cold is survivable. Carbon monoxide is not. Hand warmers are the safer play. Those little packets you shake and stuff in gloves. Mothers learn a crucial placement trick. Place them near the child's core, the chest and stomach, not the hands and feet. Kids' torsos cool fastest. Warming extremities while the core drops is backwards. Warm the engine first. 6 to 8 hours of targeted heat, right where it matters. Heated rocks wrapped in cloth and brought inside the sleeping bag give 4 hours of warmth with 0 flame risk inside the tent. Mothers double wrap the stones and test them against their own forearm first. A child's skin burns faster than an adult S. What feels warm to you can blister a toddler. Metal water bottles filled with hot water work the same way. Wrapped in a sock and placed near the child's feet inside the bag, they release slow, steady heat through the night. Mothers who use any flame-based heat source stay awake in shifts to monitor it. That means sacrificing sleep. That means burning more calories. That means needing more food they probably do not have. The hidden cost of keeping kids warm. Everything is connected. Every decision has a price. The safest heat source requires no batteries and no ventilation. A mother-esque body curled around her child, constant, renewable warmth. It has been the primary survival strategy for as long as humans have existed. Still works. Gear sorted, tent modified, heat sources that won't kill anyone. But what actually happens when a 3-day blizzard hits and leaving means death? The smart move is to sleep as much as possible. Every movement burns calories. Every calorie burned is heat lost. But a 3-year-old does not understand any of that. Kids get restless, scared, loud. They want to move, explore, open the tent flap to see the snow. Every one of those impulses is a survival threat, and you cannot explain thermodynamics to a toddler. Entertainment becomes survival equipment. A small bag of crayons, a deck of cards, a toy car. These prevent a child from panicking and unzipping the tent during a whiteout. Mothers who have been through storms pack these items with the same seriousness as food and blankets. The bathroom situation is real and nobody talks about it. Every trip outside means losing accumulated heat and exposing skin to wind. For an adult, it is a fast, strategic operation. For a child in diapers, it is different. Changes happen in freezing air. Some mothers pre-layer diapers so they can peel one off without a full change. Others use containers inside the tent because 2 minutes of exposure during a whiteout can mean frostbite on skin that has never known anything but warmth. Some mothers tell stories for hours, not for entertainment. They are for time management. A child who is listening is not crying, not squirming, not trying to leave. One mother told me she recited the same 3 stories so many times during a storm that her kid had them memorized for years afterward. Those were not bedtime tales. They were survival equipment. Eating snow seems logical when you're thirsty. Free water everywhere. But your body burns precious calories heating ice to 98.6 degrees. For a child who burns through calories faster, that trait is even worse. Experienced mothers keep water bottles upside down. Ice forms at the top first, which becomes the bottom when inverted. The drinking spout stays liquid. Simple physics, and critical for kids who can't wait while you chip ice out of a frozen opening. Peanut butter becomes gold during extreme cold. Fat metabolism generates more warmth than carbs or protein. Your body works harder to process it. That extra work produces warmth. Kids who won't touch peanut butter in September eat it by the spoonful in January. Feeding kids small amounts throughout the night instead of one big meal turns digestion into a heat source. A few crackers at midnight, some nuts at 3 in the morning. A child's digestive system becomes a tiny furnace. A hungry, cold child panics, which burns more calories, which accelerates cooling. It is a spiral you want to prevent, not recover from. Breastfeeding mothers face a brutal equation. Producing milk requires roughly 500 extra calories per day. Finding those calories during a blizzard is nearly impossible. But breast milk is body temperature nutrition that needs no preparation, no heating, no bottles that freeze and crack. For infants, it can be the difference between survival and not. Formula creates its own problems. It freezes. It clumps. Mixing it with cold water can lower a tiny body's core temperature from the inside. Mothers learn to keep formula powder in their sleeping bag and use whatever warm water they can manage. People sometimes offer mothers alcohol during cold snaps, thinking it helps. It does not. Alcohol dilates blood vessels near the skin, making you feel warmer while actually accelerating heat loss. And for a mother whose children depend entirely on her judgment and reflexes, impaired decision-making is not just a health risk, it is a survival risk for 2 people. All food stays inside sleeping bags, not beside them. Inside. Frozen peanut butter is a rock. Frozen bread is cardboard. Body heat keeps provisions edible. Mothers sleep surrounded by food like squirrels in a nest because the alternative is having nothing to feed their child at 4 in the morning when the temperature bottoms out. Frostbite starts when skin drops below 28 degrees. In blizzard conditions, that happens in under 30 minutes for an adult. For a child, faster. Smaller fingers, thinner skin, less blood flow to extremities. A toddler's hands can cross into frostbite territory before you even realize they've kicked off a mitten. The terrifying part with kids, they can't tell you what they're feeling. An adult might say their fingers are numb. A 2-year-old just gets quiet. Mothers learn the hard way that a quiet child in freezing conditions is more dangerous than a screaming one. Crying means the body's still fighting. Silence means something might be shutting down. Quiet is the warning you cannot ignore. Shivering works the same way. Shivering is good. It means the body is generating emergency heat. When the shaking suddenly stops, that's real trouble. Hypothermia is crossing into dangerous territory. In a child, that transition happens faster because they have less muscle mass to generate the shaking. Rewarming frostbitten skin incorrectly causes more damage than the original freeze. You cannot put frozen hands under hot water. The tissue dies from thermal shock. A child's skin is thinner and their tissue is more delicate. Slow, gentle warming is the only option, and in a tent during a blizzard, slow and gentle is hard to come by. Slow and gentle matter. Dehydration sneaks up in winter. Cold air holds almost no moisture. Every breath is water leaving the body. Kids dehydrate as fast in January as in July, but they show fewer obvious signs. They're not sweating visibly. They're not asking for water. By the time a child seems lethargic, they're already in trouble. Children with chronic conditions face multiplied risks. Asthma can flare in cold air. Ear infections escalate without treatment. Medications that worked in autumn can behave differently at extreme temperatures. A mother managing her child's medical needs during a 3-day blizzard is doing emergency medicine with almost nothing. What nobody talks about is what happens after. Surviving one blizzard, a child might walk away fine. Surviving 5 winters in tents leaves marks. Disrupted sleep patterns can persist for years. Chronic stress hormones reshape a developing brain. Kids who grew up in tents report anxiety around wind sounds decades later. 5 winters change a child. The physical cost accumulates. Nerves that froze repeatedly don't fully recover. Circulation damage in tiny fingers builds winter after winter. One woman told me her son, now a teenager, still can't feel the tips of 3 fingers. He was 4 during his first winter in a tent. But what stays with me is this. These mothers aren't just surviving. They're keeping tiny, fragile, completely dependent human beings alive with almost nothing. Every decision, where to pitch the tent, how to layer the ground, when to feed, when to stay still, is a calculation with their child's life as the variable. Surviving is a constant, careful choice. They're not following a manual. They're working from experience, from mentorship, from watching what works and remembering what doesn't. And every winter, they do it again. What part of this surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. And if this changed how you think about what survival actually looks like, share it with someone who needs to see it.